Assalamu alaikum. My name is obaidullah, and today the topic of my presentation is servant leadership. First of all, we will discuss that what is servant leadership. Then we will discuss it with then we will discuss it with respect to software project management. So first of all, what is servant leadership? Robert K. Greenleaf first coined the phrase servant leadership in his 1970 essay, The Servant as a Leader. Basically, servant leadership is about communicating with your colleagues, is about having a good relationship with your colleagues, is about working together, is about having a good relationship and a community feeling with your colleagues and work work colleagues. As a servant leader, you are servant first. We have to, as a leader, you have to consider yourself a servant of that organization first, then you will become a good leader. You focus on needs of others, especially team members, before you consider your own. This is also a very great thing that you focus on needs of others before your own needs. And I have used a word empathetic. Empathetic means that you consider yourselves on their place, and then you think about the solution or the problems that they are facing at that place. And if you are a CEO of a company, then you consider yourself as a programmer or low level programmer, and then you see the problems that is everything okay and is everything is manageable on that space, and then a good workplace is built. You acknowledge other people's perspective, give them the support they need to meet their work and personal goals. Every person has a personal goal to learn something or to do something, and if you acknowledge or if you appreciate others' point of views and others' opinions, then your work will be better, then their work will be better, and then you will form a great team. Give them the support they need to meet their work and their personal goals. If you support them, then they will support you back, and then our teamwork is done. Involve them in decisions where appropriate, build sense of community with your team. You cannot involve, obviously you cannot involve every team member in every meeting or every decision or everything, but if it is appropriate, you should involve everyone, and then it helps everyone to be in the game and understand everything properly. Build sense of community within your team. Obviously, if you communicate with everyone, you will build a sense of community within your team. Servant leadership. There are a few aspects: clarity, confidence, commitment, efficiency, the feeling that they can help. As a servant leader, at this early stage, you need to create a safe space for people to to contribute. As they do so, they will also begin to access one another and start to build working relationships. First of all, clarity. Clarity is basically that you see things clear, or you work things clearly, or if you are communicating with your group members or teammates or colleagues easily and efficiently, then you will get things clear and you will do things clearly. And obviously, when you are clear with each other, then confidence comes in place, and then you're confident. If you're friendly with everyone, friendly with your boss, friendly with your juniors, friendly with everyone, then you gain confidence. And if you are friendly, these things are linked with each other, and if you are confident, then and clear and friendly, then you are committed to that organization. Your heart says that you should commit yourself to this work, and then you do your work with great efficiency. Look, it's also connected to that, that you are efficient at work. If you are taking things with, as a servant leader at this early stage, you need to create a safe space for people to start to contribute. As they do so, they will also begin to access one another and start to build working relationships. It is also clear that if you create a good workplace for newcomers or everyone else, if they are not newcomers or anything, then you build good relationships and you will work with efficiency. Servant leadership leads to higher engagement, more trust, stronger relationships with team members and other stakeholders, increased innovations. It's obvious that if you have confident with if you are confident with each other, if you are have trust with each other, if you are have a strong relationship with each other, then innovations takes place. Then people do their work with their heart, and they work hard, and progress is made very efficiently. There are few problems in every aspect of life, and same is the case with servant leadership, that there are few problems which are caused uh, to implement this process, and these are: why should I work as a servant? This is a great problem in many organizations, that a person on a higher level of position or higher position, he thinks that why should I work as a servant, and his mind is dictating, or dictatorship is mostly implemented in most organizations, and that's why efficiency is very less. Language barrier. This is caused in a few organizations, but internationally it is mostly common. But in our country, it is not that common that language barrier is caused. But if a person is from another place or another area, then you have different language, then you cannot communicate properly. That's why this leads to slow work. Position barrier. Position barrier is mostly common in every organizations, that a person having a great position or having a upper level position will not communicate, or will not communicate to with the lower level, and lower level people, lower level uh, position holders will hesitate to speak with their superiors or like that. And that's why it takes time to communicate, and it takes time to work your way through. And ego is also a great is also a main problem in many people. Now we will discuss servant leadership with respect to project management. First of all, we will discuss servant leadership with respect to initiating process groups. First of all, feasibility study, product description, project charter. Feasibility study. Accomplish the time, cost, and scope objectives you cannot decide alone. Obviously, it's obvious that you cannot decide that how much time will it take, or how much cost will it be, or what will be the, or 100% objectives or all objectives. You cannot decide that alone, so you have to communicate with your team, so that is this work will be able to be in this week or anything like that. Product description. Early form of product scope. Product description is also a basic thing, and most important thing in product, because if a product is made, you have to describe it properly, and If you are not communicating well, you will be having problems with that. Project charter authorizes project manager to use resources, also include product deliverables can save resources. When you are communicating with your colleagues easily, and when you are having a servant leadership process, then you can save resources. Servant leadership with respect to planning, as planning is the most important part of uh, project management. So servant leadership with respect to planning, gather requirements. Obviously it helps a lot in gathering requirements. If you are fluent and frequent with each other, create a WBS, a work breakdown structure, activity list that comes from the WBS, which activity has to happen and when. It's obviously clear that if people are communicating with each other clearly, then you can tell that this work can be done in a week, in a month, and then you clearly describe everything. Determine skill set and resources. Skill set is also very important to be determined, and it is easily determined if you are communicating properly. If you have a great relationship with each other, you need them to help you make the best decision about which activities should happen in which order and how long these activities might take. You cannot make any decision, or you cannot make any decision alone, so you have to make decisions by taking opinions from your whole team. And if you do so, then you will have a good project. Poor communication costs time and money. It's obvious that if you are not communicating properly, then it will cost time. You will not work on time. Everyone will be working on their own, and that's not how work is done. Servant leadership with respect to planning. The most important part of software project management is planning. If you plan a thing properly, then the thing is done properly. So, when servant leadership is affiliated with planning, then planning is also done very properly. Risk management, business risk. In planning phase, you have to identify the risks and accept them, escalate them, avoid them, transfer them, mitigate. Project team needs to learn the new technique. Uh, in few cases, a project team needs to learn new techniques, and if a person or if that team is communicating with their boss or with their superiors, then they will tell the exact time that we have to learn this new technique, and we have to we have to spend this much time, and that's how work is done properly. Can be effectively overcome by servant leadership and have a less impact. Obviously risks are all about the impact, and if you are communicating effectively, if you are uh, doing work effectively, then you overcome that problem or mostly have a very less impact on your project. It also servant leadership also describes a risk responsive. It means that if you are communicating with each other properly, you accept things, you escalate, you avoid those risks, you mitigate, and that's how work is done properly. Servant leadership with respect to executing. When executing a project, if you are clear with each other, then less problems are caused. Like if it is a servant leadership helps avoid gold plating. If you are clear with each other, then you do not show off in front of them, and you will not have problems afterwards. and you will clarify everything that I made this, these are problems in this functionality or this thing, then other person will also know that there are these problems and I have to work with that. And that's how work is done properly. It helps a lot in procurement management. Useless items are not bought. This is also a very great important part of project management, that uh, mm, you have to manage your cost and your mm, workplace, your items, your everything. And if a person is not loyal to your mm, loyal to organization, then it will cost more, because he or she or anyone will not use those resources properly, and they will sometimes use them uselessly, and that's how cost is increased. Servant leadership with respect to controlling. As we all know that controlling is also important part of project management. You have to control the whole project, that how it is done, it's done on time, it's not, and helps in quality management based on good relationships with your team. It's obvious that if you have good relationship with your team, then you will able to have a good quality outcome. Changes are made easily. This is also a great part, that if a change has to be made during the project or during the work, then if you're communicating with each other and if you're friendly with your team members, colleagues, then you will explain them easily that we have to make this change, and everyone will understand very easily that we will manage that. Corrections are made easily. Corrections, if some mistakes are made, then you will be able to communicate with them that these mistakes are made, and we have to overcome them, and then your team will cooperate with you if you are friendly and if you are having a good relationship or relationship. Control scope, managing changes to the project baseline. If you have to this is a part of project software project management, mostly, that you have to sometimes make changes to your requirements, your baseline. You have to sometimes make a big change in your project. Then then on that part, servant leadership helps a lot, because you are communicating with your team properly and easily, and then things are done more appropriately. Basically, when we think about, or when we read the word controlling or control, then you know that we have to control the thing or process which is going on. And if you are friends with your team or not friends, if you are communicating with them easily, and if you're properly doing things like colleagues, you have to be, then it's very easy to do. Then the work is done very efficiently. Project matrices and servant leadership. Servant leadership has a lot impact on measuring the progress. By clarity, it can be very easy. It's obvious that if you are communicating clearly and you have clarity with each other, then when you measure things, mostly measuring tools are used to measure the progress. But if you are frequent or fluent with your team, then this process is very easy, and sometimes you don't even need to have any use any tool. By clarity, it can be very easy. Yes, if you are clear with everyone, and your project is clear, your every deliverable is clear, that how much progress is made, how much progress is made by the third person, second person, first person, then you people will easily understand that how much progress we have made. And if you have to ask anyone, that he will tell you that our project is at this stage, and this much time more will be taken, or much cost can be saved, or this much time can be saved, or this much cost can be increased, or this much time can be increased. This is part of software project or any other type of project that you have to sometimes make changes during the project in cost uh, and time. And this can be easily done by servant leadership process. Servant leadership with respect to closing. As we all know that without proper closure, nothing is completed, and this is also important part of the project. And there are some points that servant leadership helps in closing also, like closing contracts, releasing team, employee evaluation, evaluating performance. Servant leadership helps in closing also, like closing contracts. If you have to close a contract with someone, and you are having a great time working together, then you will easily communicate with each other and close your contract and manage things easily. But if you are not you have not worked your way through properly, then there will be problems closing your contract, and there will be obviously problems with paying someone and releasing team is also a point, that when you are at the end releasing your team, then you have to make contracts and things you can do with very great efficiency with servant leadership skills. Employee evaluating someone can be done by having an eye on anyone, or you can see the final product of anyone that he was working on. But if you are communicating during your work, and you are having conversations during the work, you can evaluate someone very properly, and you can tell anyone that this person was doing work like this and this, and someone might help him, or might encourage him, or might make changes to him, make changes to his process, and things can be good for him and everyone else. Evaluating performance is also like how he has performed, and this also depends on what is your relationship among each other. And if you have a good relationship with everyone, then you can tell about anyone that this person was doing work like this, and this person was not not doing work properly, or this person was not managing cost properly, this person was not managing time properly, and that's why our project is delayed, or that's why our project is and if a person was managing things very good, or better than expected, then the project is delivered before time, and then we can appreciate someone that this employee was very good at his work, or was very efficient at his work, and that's why we are able to provide our final product before the time, and that's how work is done more efficiently. Thank you very much. And my second member, Shayan Mahfouz, left this course, withdrawn this course, and that's why I did my project alone. And this is my presentation. Thank you, sir.